Welcome to another episode of the Metal Queens podcast. I'm Steve Richards. This is where we spotlight the fiercest, most innovative women redefining heavy music and beyond. Today's guest is absolutely electrifying, literally. She's an LA-based electric violinist who shattered expectations, blended classical mastery with metal and alternative energy, and built a global fan base of over 5 million followers. From viral videos hitting over 40 million views to sharing stages with Ministry, Dragonforce, Lindsey Stirling, and performing in front of 65,000 people at Wacken Festival with Two Steps from Hell. She's proving that the violin belongs front and center in metal. She's a Berklee College music graduate, Trans-Siberian Orchestra Award recipient, mental health advocate too, and she is kicking off her first U.S. solo tour February 28th. Welcome, Mia Asano, to the Metal Queens podcast.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
Well, it's great to have you here. First of all, how are you feeling with this U.S. tour, this first solo tour kicking off on February 28th? What's the energy like right now? You getting anxious?
Yeah, I actually just got out of my first band rehearsal for it and it went really well. So now I'm less anxious, but it's definitely a huge undertaking because I'm doing it all on my own, I'm not with management or anything like that. So the great part is I get to be really involved in the whole process, and the not so great part is that I have to be really involved in the whole process. So
Yeah.
but I'm having a blast doing it. And even though it's my first headline tour, I've toured a lot in the past, so I know how it works, and I know how to book the van and book the hotels, and how to put together a great team. So it's going to be really good.
Yeah, it's quite different, Mia, after playing massive European arenas and festivals like Wacken. How does preparing for a little U.S. run like this feel? A different mindset?
Very different mindset. I just finished touring in Europe with the band Sabaton, and the biggest show there was like 25,000 people, and we're in tour buses, and it's a 250 person production, and it's insane. And then I'm scaling it down for my tour, obviously, and it's a 6 person production, and we're playing rock clubs. But in terms of the performance aspect, I still perform the same whether I'm in front of 60 people or 60,000 people. So that doesn't change. It just means, people have to wear a lot more hats since there's so fewer of us. Like when you have a big production, there's one person per job.
Yeah.
And with a small production, it's like 6 jobs per person. But that's okay because everyone on my team is great. They know what they signed up for. And I have really, really good people who are on the road with me. So it'll be cool.
All right, so a little bit about you. Why the violin? And was music big in your house growing up?
Music was big in my house. My parents are not like professional musicians, but my grandmother on my dad's side was the piano professor at the University of Puget Sound. And so, I grew up listening to my dad play piano, but he only plays Gershwin. So
Mm.
would hear like a lot of Gershwin growing up. And then, my mom would play a little guitar here and there, and, just loved like James Taylor and the Beatles. And so I grew up listening to music, but it's not like I had musician parents that like forced me to practice or follow in their footsteps. I kind of discovered the musical journey on my own. My family gave me the choice between violin, piano, or guitar, and I chose violin. And I chose right, I think, because then I pursued it to where we are today. And I was 5 years old when I started, which is
Mm.
crazy.
Yeah, you double majored at Berklee in violin performance and professional music. And at what point, Mia, did you realize I don't want to just play classical? I want to break the rules here a little bit.
Well, I was really young when I started, and I was classically trained for like the first 10 years. And then around age like 13, 14, I was kind of in the height of my emo phase. I was listening to a lot of like alternative rock music and pop punk and metal and rock and just everything, that I thought was cool. And it occurred to me one day, like, what if I play the music that I'm listening to but on my own instrument? And so I was kind of seeking that out, and I started finding all these like string players online that were playing cool like music that I loved but on an instrument that I could play. So the first one I ever saw was Vanessa May playing a Vivaldi piece on an electric violin with a rock band, and I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And so once that door opened for me, I realized, the sky's kind of the limit. You don't have to be restrained to just one type of genre. And so I started just taking lessons with whoever would teach me. I started just like trying to learn everything that I could about other styles of music. And I departed from the classical community. I still play classical music, but I just don't do like the orchestra thing anymore, because it's not where my heart is. I grew up in it. I love it. I have many friends who do it. I have amazing classical players who I respect and admire, but it's just not what I'm meant to be doing. And I now feel that I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing.
You have built over 5 million followers online, and some videos have hit 40 million views. Did you ever expect social media to become such a huge part of your career?
You know, no. I really, if I wasn't doing violin, I'd be doing videography. And so I always like have loved, multimedia production. But the social media thing kind of happened on accident. I was in college and at Berkeley, and I was kind of going through like an imposter syndrome musician crisis when I was out there because, in Denver where I grew up, it's like big fish in a small pond. But then when you get out into the real world, especially at a school like Berkeley that attracts a lot of people with similar interests to me, I was one of many alternative string players there, and they were all like at my level or way better than me. And
Mm.
so it was really humbling. But I realized after a while that I had stopped playing music because I love it, and I was only playing music to try and impress other musicians. And so I was trying to be like a jazz violinist, and I'm not a jazz musician, and I was trying so hard to fit into a box that I didn't feel comfortable in. And after a while, I just woke up one day and was like, you know what? I need to just, for me, play some music that I love again and go back to the music that was inspiring me when I was a kid. So even though I was still studying jazz and classical, I just started secretly posting like covers online of my favorite songs. And like, TikTok was huge at the time. So like different trends were going viral. And so I was just kind of posting on that app because I didn't have anyone that I knew that was following me there. And then the third video that I posted blew up, and overnight I gained 100,000 followers. And I
Wow.
like everything that I had dreamed of as a kid, because as a kid of course you like want to be famous and have like a big following. And in the course of being in college, I let go of that, and I realized I just want to be a musician, and it doesn't matter how many people are following you. I just want to play music I love with people I love. And once I got into that healthy mindset and was being more authentic to myself, everything that I had dreamed of as a child got like dumped on me literally overnight. And then I hit a number of followers that I thought I'd be working my whole career towards. And then I suddenly had it. So it was not intentional, but it was welcome because it is a very powerful tool for reaching a lot of people that you wouldn't reach normally. So I'm very grateful for it, even though it happened in kind of an unconventional way.
Yeah, Mia, how do you balance daily content creation with being a serious touring musician and recording artist too?
It's tough. I kind of got used to it early on because when I went viral, I was in college still, and I was like a junior, so I still had to do a whole year of school while also doing full-time content creation. And then now it's just shifted, and I am touring all the time and also doing social media. And it's interesting because I give a lot of consultations to musicians about, how to grow on social media and how to kind of get over that imposter syndrome. And the hardest thing for them is to just put out one video. And I
Yeah.
post every day. And so it's like my baseline, my normalcy is posting every single weekday. And that's like the minimum. And then if I can do that, then on top of that I have to do another full-time job, which is being a musician. I do recording projects, I teach lessons, I do sessions, I do my own band, like play in other people's bands. So um the way to balance it is time management, I guess, but also I don't know. I've gotten really used to just the content grind. I batch all my content, so I go into the studio, I make 5 videos. That's a week of content. And then I'll just post one per day. And then I'm only spending one day a week working on social media, and then the rest of the time I can spend doing music.
Yeah.
So you find a way to make it work.
Yeah, you've worked with Ministry, Dragonforce, Lindsey Stirling, among others. Such a
Hmm.
wide range of styles. Is there a collab that completely blew your mind, a favorite of yours?
I don't have a favorite because they've all been amazing. In the month of August of 2023, I had a really great year because I collaborated with four artists that really had inspired me growing up to do what I do today. And the artists are Lindsey Stirling, Tina Guo, Taylor Davis, and Two Steps from Hell. So that whole month, I was working with these people who began as big inspirations to me, but then are now just friends and colleagues of mine. And so that month was like really special because I felt like everything had come very full circle, and it ended with me playing at Wacken with Two Steps from Hell, who have been massive influences in my life since I was really young. So that was really cool. And then again, I just got off of the Sabaton tour, and that was life changing too because one, it's the biggest thing I've ever done in my career, but two, the people are really nice. Like the guys in Sabaton are such good people, like genuinely good people.
Mm.
And it showed me that you can be really famous and still be a really good person at the same time. And that was really inspiring to me.
When you're performing live and you're in the zone and you're going, what do you feel internally?
Um, I feel like that's the only time I'm actually like at peace, because I don't have to be answering emails. I don't have to be taking care of the cats. I don't have to be stressing about anything. Like the only thing I can do in that moment is play.
Yeah.
And everything I do in my life is so I can have those moments to perform for people. And my first gig ever, I was 15, and it was at this fashion show and I'm performing, and that was the moment that really locked in for me, and I was like, this is what I'm meant to be doing. Because what I love to do is perform. It's not just about the music, it's about the performance as a whole. And that's the only time I really feel like myself and like not anxious about anything. And then I get back in the studio and I'm spending like a week working on a contract for something, or I'm like recording things, and I'm like, I just have to remind myself that I do all of that so that I can get out there and play music for people.
Yeah. Want to talk to you and touch on mental health and advocacy. Very important to you. You work closely with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Why is mental health advocacy so important to you?
It's always been important to me, because it's something that a lot of people struggle with, but very few people are comfortable talking about. There's a lot of stigma about, being open about your mental health struggles. And for that reason, a lot of people end up in really bad situations that um, they could have gotten help for a lot sooner. And um, I've lost a lot of friends because of mental health struggles. And most recently, last March, I lost my best friend, Hayden, and he was a violinist. And it was the hardest thing I've ever gone through. And so, after losing him, I did a bunch of fundraising for this organization called Music Cares, and we raised a bunch of money for them in his name. And he was a violinist, so I was gifted his violin, and now I am going to be performing it and playing his music and keeping his voice alive. And I just want something. I want, it's such a tragic loss, and I want something good to come out of it. And the only thing I could think of is to spread the music and to help other people who might be struggling in the same way. And that's also why I have a cover of the Power Rangers theme out, and one of the actors from the show also passed away a couple years ago in the same way. And so I donate all the streaming revenue from that song that I covered to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention in his name. And I've talked to a lot of people that were really impacted by his loss, and I don't think, and including his daughter, like she's become a friend of mine through this process, and I don't think that he even realized how beloved he was. And it just is something that needs to be talked about more openly, because I think people don't realize the resources that they have available. So that's why I work with these organizations. Music Cares primarily helps musicians that are struggling. AFSP helps uh, anyone that's struggling. I've also worked with To Write Love on Her Arms. There's a lot of different organizations out there, and I just implore people to reach out for help if they're struggling, because there's a lot of resources available, and people don't really think it'll actually help them, but it does.
Yeah. No, doing great stuff there. Now, touring and constant online presence can be intense. How do you protect your own mental health?
That's a good question because there are many ups and downs in life, but also in this industry, I've encountered so many interesting obstacles that I never even saw coming. Um, so what I show on the internet is a big part of me, and what you see is what you get in many ways. But then I also have like my private life, and I hold on to that. I have made my house very cozy and nice, and it's kind of like my escape. So I can spend the day being Mia Asano and online and do what I need to do. But then I always have like my cats to come back home to and a cup of tea and just trying to keep things wholesome. And I also have a really good therapist, and I can't recommend that enough. Like I got really lucky, and that has helped a lot as well. And now here I am, and I try to balance it the best that I can. But life is crazy, and the world is crazy, so we all are just doing the best that we can.
Well, cats are great therapy too. I can attest to that, aren't they?
Are you a cat
Oh
person?
yeah. I'm a crazy cat dad.
How many cats do you have?
Oh, we have four now.
Oh my
How
gosh,
about
that's
you?
I have two here and then one at my house in Colorado.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah. But they're great. They're great to come home to. Great. Like I
they
said, great,
are.
great little therapy.
And when they purr, they have healing frequencies, so it's
Yeah.
actually good. Yeah.
Yeah. I read that. Read about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you got the solo tour kicking off in LA on February 28th. Big start to the year for you here. So, what is next? Can we expect maybe a full album later this year or an EP?
Yes. So I'm working on my solo album and um you know, I'm waiting until I want it to be perfect before I release it, so that's why it's not out before the tour, but anyone that comes to a show on the tour will get to hear the first like 8 songs from the album. It's called Lore, and it's based on cryptids like Bigfoot, Loch Ness monster,
Mm,
Mothman. And it's kind of a deep dive. Every song is a deep dive into this different creature or monster that the existence hasn't been proven. And so it's interesting because, you know, the album is partially about self liberation and believing in something even if you can't see it tangibly. It's also just an excuse for me to like talk about monsters, which is my favorite thing in the world. And so yeah, we're playing. You know, I have like a song about dragon. I have a Mongolian deathworm song where I'm featuring an amazing Mongolian throat singer friend of mine. It's spanning over many different cultures and countries. So there's you know, I have Japan represented. I'm working with a Scottish band for the Loch Ness Monster song. Like, there's a bunch of different amazing artists who I'm collaborating with, and it's all symphonic metal meets EDM, and it's just I'm really really excited about it. So anyone that comes to the tour will get to hear a sneak peek of everything. And eventually, I promise I'll get out to North Carolina and come visit you, and you'll get
great.
to
Yeah.
hear
Can't wait to see you
the whole
live. Yeah. Well, we'll be looking
word of
forward to
mouth.
that. Looking forward to this solo tour again, kicking off on February 28th from Berkeley to viral stardom, from Wacken Festival to this U.S. tour coming up. Mia is proving that the violin doesn't just belong in metal, it can lead it too. Make sure you grab your tickets to these shows coming up and stream her music, watch the videos, Spotify, YouTube, all the streaming platforms, and follow her across all the socials to catch the daily magic from Mia Asano. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for watching and for listening to the Metal Queens podcast. Like it, share it, subscribe to it, write a review. I'm Steve Richards. I'll talk to you again next time.